你们欢迎在庙前冰室，现在我们在广州，欢迎。So my name is Bastien. I'm born in Switzerland, from a family of restaurants and spirit maker. I grew up in Switzerland all my life until I moved when I was 20 something in Asia. The life is always full of surprise. When I met him, I get to know him in Switzerland. It was a long time ago, 2007 or 2008. And then when we both graduated, you don't really know if you're gonna see them again. And then when I arrived in Guangzhou years later, Andrew was working here at the Grand Hyatt. At that time I got transferred from Shangri-La to Shangri-La Guangzhou. So it's a bit by chance we meet again each other's and started to say, let's go for a coffee, let's have a drink, chat a bit. And then that's where the idea was to both start something together and both quit our job to open Hope Sesame. It's quite a funny story because until maybe 1 week before the opening of this bar, it was called Open Sesame. And we were thinking of the story of Alibaba, where you say, Jema Kaiman, open the door. When I designed this bar, I wanted a lot of brass, a lot of kind of gold colors, contrasting with a very dark environment. So that feeling of you finding a cave with a lot of treasures was the idea of the name Open Sesame. But then maybe 1 week before, I forgot who, maybe Andrew, maybe my wife, we were thinking the name, it's quite lame. And then we changed to why not to call it Hope and Sesame. And then something I think with the name is quite unique is we have two names, right? We have庙前冰室 and Hope and Sesame. But the two names are not linked, it's not the translations. When we started here, it was a very small team. We were only 5. Including our both wives. So it was really a small team. Everything was very easy. It was very how you run a family business. Now the team is about 100 people almost. So the scale became very big. The organizations, me and Andrew, we had to learn how to delegate, how to have different roles as the year grew. At the same time, now we're thinking with Andrew also how we can bring what we do, this more Cantonese concept, maybe very far away overseas. So it's always you learn a lot from international cities, and then how can we extend our name to a more international platform on different continent. I'm very lucky because this bar industry bring you to a lot of different places. Sometimes we meet some from celebrity. One time I was making cocktail with Dili Ruba, a movie actress, and then you will have people queuing to see her for a day. But then you spend time sitting with her, chatting, and then making drinks on stage with her. There's all those moments where you meet someone special. I think that's something very unique. And then also I think having the chance of traveling a lot within China to train a lot of bartenders. It's something where it's very rewarding because you learn, you do your things, and then after that you start to share your knowledge to hundreds of people joining masterclasses, seminar. And then when you start to see people using what you teach them or using some ideas that you share, this is something very rewarding because you're not here only to come to make some money, to work as a businessman, but it's also how you grow your own industry besides just your bar. We met when I just arrived in Asia, in Malaysia back then. It was funny because we both flew from Switzerland. She was studying in a different hotel school from Les Roches. So we arrived at the same time in the same place. We met each other, and then a month later we were together. Now it's a bit more than 15 years. I told her why not to go to China. To me it was very interesting to put a foot in China, to kind of discover how's the country, how's the food, how's the people, because I knew almost nothing about China before. So I told her let's go to China for 1 year, and then now it's been 12 years in. Guangzhou is maybe not the most sexy city the first time you come here, but then once you start to get used to the city, to the pace, it became a really, really good place to be. And now, like when I'm talking with my wife, we're thinking if one day we move, where we should move. It's actually very hard to find another city where you get more and where you don't lose all the advantage that you have here. People here have a very good balance of being quite relaxed, quite laid back, and at the same time very efficient. Because some countries you'll go and everything sort of moves slow. It's very nice when you go for holidays, for vacations, but after a while you want more speed. Some other place, everything moves very fast, and you want some time to feel you can take it slowly and enjoy a bit more like a slow pace, but it's not because everything moves very fast. Guangzhou have that quite interesting, like in between being very local, but also being very big, being very speedy, very quick, and also a bit more traditional, a bit more laid back. And then also, more from a business point of view, in general, the Cantonese culture, people are very foodies. They put a lot of attention into what they eat, what they drink. That makes the city very interesting. The understanding or the curiosity when it comes to drinking a new cocktail or having a new dish, the culture is there. That's something I didn't really know before. I knew Cantonese restaurant, but I didn't really understood how deep that love for food was. I think I would say one is like convenience, because it's a very convenient country. Or Guangzhou is a very convenient city. I would say you have to be very flexible, because all the time there's changes. And then the third one maybe is like there's a lot to discover, there's always new things that I didn't know before that I'm discovering. Guangzhou is a big city. It's like we're talking about like more than 20 million people. And what I find like really interesting when you start a business or when you have a business in a big city, it means you have a big group of people. And even if you want to do something very niche, something that you really like personally like and focus on that, rather than to try to please many guests, in a big town you can do it. Maybe in my hometown in Switzerland is too small. So if I wanted to do something very, very specific, I just don't have enough people. But here we have. So I think this is something whoever wants to start a business in a bigger city, you can be a bit more bold, you don't need to worry too much. If you do something good, people will be coming at the door.